Hello, welcome, I'm Andreas, your tech-curious web designer. In this tutorial, we will prepare and configure our Django application for deployment. This includes setting up environment variables to securely store sensitive data, configuring a PostgreSQL database, and serving images in a production environment. But before we get started, if you like this content, give this video a thumbs up, subscribe to this channel, and click the bell icon. This helps me to grow this channel and to reach more aspiring web developers. And if you want to support my work financially, you can subscribe to my Patreon page and get access to exclusive content. Thank you so much. I really appreciate you. Okay, and now without further ado, let's dive in. A big thank you to all my supporters on Patreon, buymeacoffee.com and on YouTube. Environment variables are used to keep secrets out of the code and should never be included directly in the codebase. Instead, they are set remotely on the web server and locally in an env file. And a great package for managing environment variables in Django is Environ. And we install this package with pip install django-environ. Then we go to the settings.py file in the core folder. And here at the very top, I import the env class from Environ, instantiate this class, and call the readenv function. In development, this function loads environment variables from the local.env file, which we store in the same folder. In production, environment variables are automatically injected by the system. Let's create this .env file now in the core folder and name it .env. And here I'm adding my first environment variable with the name environment and setting it to development. On the web server, I will set this variable to production. And we can access the environment variable in the settings.py file using the env object.
Nice.
When using environment variables, always provide also a default value to ensure the application works even if the variable is missing, to prevent errors and crashes. So we add here a comma and set here default to development. Now that we have set the environment, we can switch debug between true and false. In production, debug should never be true to prevent exposing backend code. So we add here a condition. If the environment variable is set to development, we set debug to true, else debug is false. When debug is set to false, Django enforces the allowed host setting, specifying the domains that the application considered trusted for serving requests. And the domains we use in development are localhost and the local IP address. In production, this is gonna be the live domain. These domains we can also store as environment variables as a list. And to read a list of values, we use env.list, setting the values in the allowed host variable and also add the default. In the env file, we add the values separated by commas with no white spaces. Another setting we need is the CSRF Trusted Origin setting, which prevents cross-site request forgery. If this is not configured in production, the Django admin interface and post requests will not work. This is a list of trusted URLs, so with the HTTP or HTTPS protocol in front. And also this list we store in the env file. A big part of Django security is the secret key. This is a string used by Django for encryption, ensuring that passwords and cookies are protected and that the CSRF tokens are valid. This key here is valid but not secure because it is hard-coded in the settings.py file. The best practice is to generate a new key for production and store it in an environment variable. So I add here the environment variable for secret key and the random default. And to create a new secret key, we go to the terminal and access here the Python shell with Python manage2py shell. The Python shell is a command line interface where we can run Python code and call functions in real time. Here I import the getRandomSecretKey function, call this function to generate a new key, and print it out in a terminal. And this generated now a new secret key. So I copy the string and paste it in here. Make sure there are no white spaces in front or the back. And then I exit the shell with exit and parentheses. Next, let's configure the PostgreSQL database integration. By default, Django does not support PostgreSQL out of the box, so we need to install a package called psychopg2 to communicate with the PostgreSQL database. And we install it with pip install psychopg2-binary. Then here below the environment variable, I like to add this Postgres locally variable to easily access the remote Postgres database locally, to run the migrations and to create the database tables. Then we go here to the configuration of the databases and add a condition. So if the environment is production or the Postgres locally variable is true, I switch to the remote database. And these are the credentials required to establish a PostgreSQL connection. Else we use SQLite in development. Many services provide these credentials also in the form of a database URL string, which is much easier to integrate. And for this we install the package dj-database-url. Then we import this dj database URL module. And this module takes the database connection string and converts it into a Django compatible database configuration. And as default, I set here the SQLite database. The value for the database URL we will add in this file when we have created a Postgres database on the server. Next, we configure the backend for the channel layers. In production, we will use here a Redis database. For this, we install the channels-redis package. So if the environment is production, we define here the channel layers with the Redis channel layer backend and set the hosts to the Redis URL and add a default. Else, when we're locally, we use the in-memory channel layer. And also the value for this variable we add after we have created a Redis database on the server. For production, we have to collect all static files into one static folder and choose a service to display them, because Django does not serve static files in production. We define this folder using the static root variable and place it in the base directory of the project. And then we can collect all the static files with the collect static command. So let's save the settings file. And then we run python manage2py collect static. By default, Django asks for confirmation before saving the files. Adding the --no input flag skips this confirmation and collects all static files automatically. And as we can see here, this created the static files folder. And this static files folder contains files from installed packages such as the all-auth package, the Django admin interface, as well as our own CSS and images folders. Now to serve static files, we need a service. An easy to install option is white noise, which can serve static files directly from the Django app without requiring an external web server. And we install it with pip install white noise. For white noise, we also have to add a middleware, which we add here to the list. As next, let's set up also the media files. Here we have the media files configurations. I add here a condition to check whether we are in a production environment or accessing the PostgreSQL database locally, because the media file links are stored in the database. And in here I define the storages. For example, to connect to our AWS S3 storage, I set this here in the backend. Since this setting overrides the default storage object, we also have to add the configuration for the static files. In our application, we are sending validation and confirmation emails to users, so we also need to configure an email client. In development, we can use the console as the email backend. But in production, we need an email host. And this is an example using Gmail as a host. Also here we have two environment variables. And I add also those to the env file. The final step before deploying the application to the web server is to collect all the dependencies used in the project. And we do this with the command pip freeze, then the greater than symbol, and then requirements.txt. This creates a requirements.txt file containing all the packages and their version numbers. So I run this command. And as we can see, this created this requirements.txt file with all the packages this project is dependent on. For convenience, we can also create a custom command for this freeze command. So I'm going to the package.json file, add here a comma, and add here the freeze command. So with this command, I can just write npm run freeze. Alright, and with this we have finished the configuration for deploying our Django application. As last, let's check if our application is still working correctly locally. And for this we have to make sure that the Postgres locally variable is set to false, because we have not yet created the Postgres database. So python-py run server. And great, the website is still up and running. Alright, and this is all for this tutorial. In the next one, we will create a Postgres and Redis database, push the code to GitHub, and deploy it on a web server. If you like this content, give this video a thumbs up, subscribe to this channel, and don't forget to click the bell icon not to miss the next one. I hope to see you there. Until then, happy coding my friends, and bye bye for now.